This interview features Twan van Gendt, double Olympian BMX Supercross, and one of the highlights of this interview, at least in my opinion, is how he outlines that he had a serious crash prior to the Olympic Games, putting him in danger not to qualify for the Olympic Games, and how he saw his dream of getting an Olympic medal fading away, how he managed to fight back, how he managed to qualify for the Olympics, how he constantly wants to step it up and not make it easy for himself, how he focused on the wrong things, these are his words, for a long time in his career and how he managed to change, and a funny story how he managed to become national champion in the deadlift. Let's check it out. Okay, so today is my very pleasure to introduce someone who I've been lucky to be part of a journey, double Olympian Twan van Gendt, BMX riding. Twan and me started working in 2010. 2 Olympic cycles.
Yeah.
In the 3rd Olympic cycle now. So, welcome Twan.
Getting old.
We are all getting older. What was your darkest moment?
A darkest moment, like as a BMX athlete, you have you crash more than one time, but the timing of the crash is sometimes not ideal. And if I look back at the crash I had before London 2012 or last Olympics in Rio, the darkest moment then was working 4 years again for another Olympic cycle, and then crashing in April 2016 for the Olympics. Your dream of getting the medal is fading away, because in London I got 5th, and you're working 4 years for the other spots who are higher than the 5th place, and then you crash and you maybe cannot go to the Olympics anymore, and there was a really rough period. Eventually it all went well, but at first it was really hard to come back with it. Yeah.
So how did you recover from the moment?
It all started with see what injuries are. No, I had 6 weeks until the World Championships, and I had to be better than the guy who was standing in 4th in the nation in our national ranking. I was the guy in 3rd because I crashed out and I couldn't get results at World Cups, so other guys were catching me, like chasing me, and I dropped from 2nd to 3rd place. And the other guys, the guy in 4th was really getting in shape, and he was really riding well. And I had a difficult task to be back at the level I was in 6 weeks. And how do we did it? Like with a good team around me, the strength trainings, the physio. I got some laser treatments for bone recovery because I had a broken collarbone and a few broken ribs. So eventually it all was a team effort, but it took a lot of myself mentally.
Yeah. How did you keep on track mentally?
How did I keep on track? You have one goal, and keep that goal in mind, and everything gets a lot easier. Yeah, it's realistic to still work for the goal, and it was still reachable. It wasn't going to be easy, and I did it in the past. In London I got injured 10 weeks before the Olympics, and now it was in a more early stage. But now I still had to qualify myself definitely for the Olympics.
Plus in London, in my opinion, looking back, you were still young, so not a lot of expectations on you. And 2016 you were one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
And more expectations.
Yeah, definitely more expectations. London was really good for me to go to the Olympics, ending in a 5th place, and no one had expected, even myself. And then in Rio, you're going there as one of the fastest in the world. Yeah. And eventually you crash, and you get a 9th place overall. Yeah.
I remember that. There's one more moment I wanted to touch on. Actually on this track where we're happening, I think where we are sitting in 2011 at the Papendal World Cup.
First year?
Yeah, you
first
came.
Year.
So the way BMX works, you have to qualify in a time trial. Yeah, so you go down and then take the time of the lap, and
fastest 64 people qualify. And Twan crashed 10 meters before the finish line.
Yeah, more like
Jumped back on the bike, crossed the finish line, and ended up 65th.
Yeah, that was rough. Yeah, that was one of my first It was the first World Cup here at Papendal, and I was going into the last turn as top 16, 13th place or something overall. So that was a really good time for me back at that time. And I clipped out on the last straight, lost the control of my bike, crashed, stood up, and got 65. Yeah, that was tough, but also I learned a lot of it.
What did you learn?
Well, at first I was way too greedy at that time. I went over the edge, and that eventually it cost me my participation on the World Cup. And yeah, that's a thing I learned from it. Time trials wasn't really my thing, never. And it started back in the day already with those kind of things, like you're in the top 16 position and then you crash on the last straight, and then eventually you're not even in the race. And if I was racing, top 16 should have been possible, but now I couldn't even get the chance because I wasn't even racing. Yeah.
And the next year you became second, right? Or you made it to the final?
No, the next year it was 2012. I made it to the final, won the semi, and then in the final was in third position. Somebody hit me, and we both crashed. And with that crash, I broke my shoulder 10 weeks before the Olympics in London. Yeah.
What was your best moment?
My best moment for the result, I have to say, Red Bull Revolution 2012. It was my first international race on an elite level, which I won. But performing way better than everyone expected on the Olympics a month before that. It has been my best moment out of my career. Standing there in the Olympic final, lane 2, almost like a dream position. With 1.5 million people at home who are watching that race. That was like a special moment for me. Yeah.
I also remember that. I think your performance in the Olympics was really,
really
outstanding. I mean, it was really great. Yeah.
I'm really proud of that moment. Yeah. Still am.
Nice. Yeah.
Got a 5th place, but I was really proud how I rode there.
Yeah, I remember there were also quite a few races within the Olympics where you were first and second, and I mean, really amazing starts, right? You came out on top after.
Yeah, I came out on top, and I was riding with the current world champion and the current Olympic champion of that period, and I was beating them. I was racing with them, and they were beating me as well. But eventually, they ending up in winning and getting silver and bronze, and I got the 5th place. If you look at the last semi we rode, I came out on top, and they were like 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Yeah, and eventually 1 lap later they got all the medals, and then you feel really like, maybe I blew it a little bit, but I was still young that day.
So then, what did you learn from that moment?
It's a good one. Like me and Connor were next to each other, and lane 1 and lane 2, and my gait was better, and I knew he was faster on the first straight, so I went to a little bit to the inside, and then he was still hitting me from behind, and then I overshoot, he overshot, and we just messed it up for each other at that time. What have I learned of it? In Rio I wanted to do a little better, but eventually I crashed the first lap, and tore my knee apart. Still racing after it, but it wasn't really in shape, and the result, I wasn't good enough for a medal anymore. That's what I knew when I stood up, and I made the best out of it. But what I learned of London, I never focus on the guys next to you, but focus on yourself.
If you could go back in time, 10 years, 15 years, something like that, what advice would you give your younger you?
Be less greedy and try to enjoy it more. You're on the gate. I was focusing on my competitors and what could go wrong sometimes, and I would have focused on really different things at this time. Yeah.
For example?
just be the best version of myself, and you have no influence on the people who are next to you on the gate. You have only the influence you have is how do you perform at that time. And that's just I learned a lot of it, and I think I'm doing that at the moment really well.
What habits make you a successful athlete or successful person?
What habits? Well, like one of my habits is when I'm in the gym and I have a good day, I'm just lifting more than I ever could, or I'm just the boundaries I have of the max that I have of the weights when the program. If I have a good day, I can blow them apart and just put myself on new boundaries, and I think that's one of the things that constantly stepping it up and constantly wanting to step it up, and I don't want to make it easy for myself most of the times. I think that's the most fun part actually I like about sporting for a living, because you can just step it on every single time, and you try to do it. You know you cannot do it every single day, but if you have a good day, I'm really going for it, and try to get the max out of myself and out of our training. I think that are my habits in training. Next to that, when I'm at home, I just want to be at home and not focusing too much on sports.
I think in terms of habits, I could also, it's probably not a habit, but more character trait. I think commitment and determination is something you have from what I've seen over the last 8 years. I think that, definitely commitment and determination to what you're doing. So next question, do you have a morning routine or any routine you're following in the mornings or throughout the day to get you ready? Yeah,
it's just when the alarm goes off, I switch it off. That's the thing you do every single day. It's a really basic thing. And next to that, like the breakfast is most of the time it's the same, and it's just healthy, but also I like it. Sometimes I'll put some Greek yogurt with some fruit and some how do you say it? With some phasals, some
fibers.
Yeah, fibers. Yeah, some. Most of the times I get some Greek yogurt, fruits, fibers in it. Sometimes a little bit of chocolate. Depends on how bad I want it. But the morning routine, sometimes a coffee. Not really a routine, but when I feel like I can use a coffee this morning, I'll get a coffee. When I don't feel it, I don't get a coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, but the only really routine I have is switch off the alarm when I wake up.
Okay. That's enough to get ready.
That's enough to get ready.
How do you prepare yourself for important moments, competition, especially important competitions?
Same way as I prepare myself for every other race. If I look back at my the 7-8 years I'm riding professionally now. I wanted to race every race which I'm competing. If it was a World Championships or it was a small race in the National Championships or National Series, I'm on the gate drops, and I want to win, and that's how I prepare myself for that. Just get my focus. When I start in a race, my racing isn't the best. I make small mistakes, and get myself sharper and sharper because I want to delete all the mistakes I make. And I'm just checking boxes like, that one better, and you see my lap times going down. And as soon as it really needs to be on point, I'm there when I want to be.
How do you overcome setbacks when things don't go your way? I mean, having worked with you, I know you can be very affected if things don't go your way, but you always manage to come back somehow. So how do you do that?
I can be really affected, especially in the past. And to manage how I come back is just go back to the basics. I love my sport, I love what I do, and I want to get the best out of myself. And if I come back from an injury, I go back to those points. And most of the times I will ride one of the best races of the season, because I go back to those points and no expectations, just ride. And most of the times it goes really well.
Do you have a role model? If yes, who is it and why?
A role model? I'm not really a guy who is looking at documentaries or other things. I like if I see the performance of Usain Bolt is still really impressive as a sprint athlete, being there for such a long time, and look what he has achieved. It's not easy, because, especially in the 100-meter sprint. It's a hard discipline, and that's what I really like. But it's not like that he is a role model for me. I like what he has done and what he has achieved. And next to that, my role model, I just try to have as much fun as I can have with my girlfriend, and she inspires me sometimes. She's also she's not an athlete, but she's in business, and she's working in a zoo, and she's really enjoying it and trying to get the best out of herself, and it motivates me to do the same.
What is the best advice you have received, and who gave it to you?
Well, I was focusing on the wrong things in my career, and last year I really worked on that, and I had the most consistent year of my career, actually, like the most consistent season, and without being the most healthy shape I was winning World Cup. I was winning a World Cup and getting podiums on the European Championships again, and it felt really, really well. Yeah. And what does she say? It's between me and her.
But yeah, definitely the outside perspective of someone has helped.
Yeah, the outside perspective of someone really helped, because you're focusing so on the things you do for years, and then somebody who's not really is not involved in sports looks at it and they're like, "What are you doing?" And drags you out, look at it from a little distance, and then you see it yourself, and then try to improve that, or try to do it a little different, and see how it works out. And that small kind of things that can really help you as an athlete. Yeah, but not only as an athlete, just as a person as well.
How does a typical training day look?
Well, waking up, pressing off the alarm.
Seems like to be a big thing for you.
Because then it's all starting again. If I look at a Monday, Monday is most of the time the most heavy day for me in the week. The one I look forward to the most as well, because you have a rest day on Sunday. You're fresh and you want to go back to work, and the gym session on Monday morning is always killing. Say it like that. I'll get the best out, the max out of myself, and then I feel it for the rest of the week. And the rest of the week is getting even harder because I did too much on Monday. And that's like a typical week looks like for me. So on Monday I work really hard, and then I'm suffering the rest of the week of it. It's also a small habit of me to get the best out of myself, and then don't think about the effects it can have after the training. Get caught in the moment and just
it can also be a strength.
Yeah, well, that's how my most of my weeks look like. When I'm not doing it, it's close before a race. Then I'm really calm, and I definitely know what I want to do. It's not too much. It's just check the boxes and should make sure I'm ready for what's coming or what's upcoming. But the week is gym, it's it's training in the morning, training in the afternoon, and then on Tuesday during the season we have one training, and then Wednesday we got 2 trainings again. Friday we got Thursday we got 1 training. Friday we got 2, and Saturday we have races or training. Like Saturday, Sunday we have races. When we have races, Friday is most of the times a day off.
Do you want to nominate someone to be interviewed?
Yeah, I want to nominate Yoshitaka Nagasaka. He's a little bit younger than me, and he's also an Olympian. He's from Japan, and next Olympics are in Tokyo. So I'm curious what he has to tell.
Okay, so I will reach out to him and see if I can get him on the show.
Yeah.
Where can people find more about you?
More about me on Facebook, Instagram. Follow Twan van Gendt, and then you can see a little bit of my life. Not showing too much, but I just when I wanna show something, I'll put it on there. Yeah.
You can also see some of his amazing feats of strength in my Instagram profile.
True.
Oh yeah, you're also Dutch champion in the deadlift, right?
Yeah, last year I competed for fun in a deadlift competition, because friends of my hometown told me there was like a competition in my hometown, and they more or less signed me in for the competition, and it all went a little bit better than I expected, and I ended up with getting the title. Yeah, it was pretty funny. Yeah, it was cool, and if I have the chance to do it again, maybe I will do it. Yeah.
Twan lifted 275 kilos at 83 kilos body weight, by the way, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, it was more than I expected to do. Yeah. And like we never really do the normal deadlifts in the program. Yeah. We always have the Romanian ones at the end of the program, so I didn't really knew what I could lift for 1 rep. But it ended up in that 275, and I think I could do more, but I was running out of turns. That was my last attempt, and if I could do it over, maybe I would have 300 is a goal, maybe, somewhere in the future.
Always setting goals.
Always setting goals.
Hey, thanks, Twan. That was a good interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was that an interview? What sticks in my head, I find it really interesting that he said time trials were never his thing, considering he placed 3rd in the time trial at the Olympic Games 2012 and 5th in the time trial at the Olympic Games 2016. It just shows the high expectations he has on himself. What did you find interesting? What resonated most with you? Is it how he consistently wants to step it up and not make it easy for himself? Or the advice focusing on himself and not on the guys next to him? Please leave it in the comments below. And in addition to that, if you have any further questions you would like me to ask Twan, put it in the comments below. I will make sure I get Twan again on the camera to answer the questions.